I bought a house with a 5-year interest-only mortgage, and I'm able to do it now, and in 2 years, I'm gonna need about twice as much money. And so I heard you speaking recently about when you don't even know how you're gonna pull something off, how to approach it. And this is, it is beyond my, I would appreciate some coaching here and how to be about this prospect 2 years down the road. Because part of me wants to try to figure it out and prepare myself. It can be a little scary, but I want to bring a sense of optimism and confidence and tap into my creativity.
All right, so let's apply what we were just applying a moment ago. So you don't know how you're going to reduce this interest rate, or you don't know how you're going to affect the legislature that might bring that about, or you don't know how you're going to
pay a doubled mortgage,
bring more money into your experience to pay more, or you don't know, of course that partner might bring money with them.
Yeah. But let's just say I need to double my income in 2 years.
Well, is that an upstream statement or a downstream statement? In other words, did that make you feel better or worse? In other words, we were looking for a way to soothe it, and you seem to be looking for a way to poke it with a stick a little bit. And the reason that we ask is because your work is not to find a solution. Your work is to soothe. Think of the word solution has the word soothe in it, doesn't it? In other words, solution. It's a solution. You're wanting to soothe yourself into your vibrational alignment, and so you're wanting to talk your angst down. And the way you do that, we've just been talking about that. The way you do that is by reaching for the thoughts or examples that you can give yourself that make you feel better as you are coming up with them. What you're really wanting to do is to stand where you are, because you can't stand anyplace else, and soothe the way you feel by speaking what you do know, not what you don't know. And you see, what you just did was the opposite. You said, I need to double my income in 2 years. You just made it look as hard as you could possibly make it look. You weren't amplifying what you do know, which was soothing. You were amplifying the unknown, which is the opposite of soothing. Can you get this? And are you beginning to accept, do you accept that this is a vibrational alignment effort, not a figuring out where the money's coming from effort? In other words, do you accept that the increase in income is already in your vibrational escrow? Do you accept that when you first signed the papers on that you put some of it there? And do you understand that every time you've worried about it, you've put more of it there? In other words, this is a really well thought out, well planned, and now well tended to by your source energy creation. And so the question isn't will be, if it will be, because it already is. And the question isn't, do I get to have it because it's already yours? The question is, how can I right now feel that it's there rather than antagonize myself into feeling that it isn't there? How can I trust rather than doubt? How can I believe rather than wonder? How can I know rather than worry? And so it's an emotional game. It's a vibrational game. So what do I know? What do I know that makes me feel better? Even if it's general, I know I'm good at what I do. I know that I always figure things out. I know that things do work out for me. I know that I'm a survivor. I know that I'm resourceful. I know that the laws of the universe are in place. I know that it's in my vibrational escrow. I know that universal forces are always helping me. I know that the solution is in place. I know that I have access to it even though I don't see it right now. I know that even though I don't see it right now, I may see it later. I know that there have been many things that at one time I didn't know that later I knew. These things I know. Now that's soothing, isn't it? Yes. So as you talk about what you do know, even though it's general, it soothes your vibration. It helps you to close the gap. And the more you close your gap, then the more the universe can orchestrate the circumstances and events that you need. But when you do the opposite, when you antagonize yourself, when you say, these things I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know if it's going to come in time. I don't know what I'm going to do. When you antagonize yourself in those ways, then you don't let the universal forces that are working for you come to you. And then you just feel worse and worse and worse. That was really good. You got that clearly, didn't you? Everything is an emotional game. Everything is a vibrational game. Everything.
And plus, when you view it as a game, then you can bring in the spirit of fun. You know, like I was listening on NPR in the summer, and there are these people that could get together at MIT, and they have this world's hardest treasure hunt. And they have the most brilliant brains make the most challenging hints to find this impossible game, and people love it. And I heard this report, and I said, you know what? I can do that with my property tax. And I brought that spirit to it, and I actually manifested something that was really not kind of predictable, bringing that spirit of play.
Well, we really like it when you become playful, because whenever you're playful, you're closing the gap.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ornery, you're widening the gap.
Yeah.
Whenever you're hopeful, you're closing the gap. Whenever you're worried, you're widening the gap. And so if you've just got your eye, those were your words as you sat down, if you've got your eye on the gap, if you've got your solar plexus on your gap, if you've got your feeling sensors on your gap, and you care how you feel, then never mind reality. Reality doesn't mean diddly squat. What is just doesn't matter, because it's temporary and moving. And it's moving in the direction of your opening or closing the gap. So when you get that, and you realize that you have control over the way you feel regardless of the conditions, now you've really got it. Creation is about unconditional alignment. And when your reality is so vivid, then you're reeling with conditions, then you're responding to conditions, and then you have no control over conditions. And then you just faction off, you polarize, you try to get people to do different things so that they can create different conditions. In other words, we promise you, it's a lot easier for you to close your gap and allow the universe to deliver to you double your income and more than it is for you to get them to change the interest rates. It's a lot easier for you to just allow the abundance of the universe to come to you.
It's easier for me to close my gap than widen it with those thoughts of discord.
We're happy to hear you say that. It's whether it's easier or harder, it sure feels better to close it. And so it's sure worth making the effort. And even if it's hard in the beginning because the other thoughts are more dominant or more active, once you make the effort, as you've seen us demonstrate here, especially in the last little bit, what happens is it gets easier and easier, because the law of attraction keeps responding to your most active vibration, and you have control over what that is.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, indeed.
And then this third part is my life work. I want to ask something that I think is this save the world notion, that I'm wondering, when you speak to people so much about their personal lives, if there might not be this generational conditioning, thought pattern, thought form, energy form that I grew up in, which was that we're supposed to save the world.
Yes,
and I
but
grew
it's
up
sick.
as an activist. And
yes, of course that's abounding, but it is nowhere in your vibrational escrow, and it is not anything that the source energy within you knows. In other words, the source view is that this world does not need to be saved because it is emphatically expanding for the good. In other words, the viewpoint that the world needs to be saved is an attitude that in that moment has you really separated from who you are.
Well, and I've been looking for, by listening to your information, I've been looking for, where's the resistance? So sometimes I feel torn between doing what I love and being in my bliss, where I spend a lot of time in great joy, and then I think, but I should be doing this, or I should be saving the world, and I feel that pull. And I've been trying to merge the two, and then I said, well, maybe that's just some conditioning thought form, and I don't really have to merge the two.
Well, here's the way you sort that out. How would you go about saving the world?
Well, like, for example, I love nature. And so I belong to all these environmental organizations, and I love to write, I love to take photographs, but then mixed into that mix is, I think, well, I have to write these great bestsellers that also save the environment, that awaken consciousness, that all of the stuff in my life, I think I have to use towards that end. And that's it's mixed in with life mission and life purpose. And I really want to clear anything in there that
well, then let us just give it to you
discord.
Let us just give it to you simply. So each of you, as you come forth, have a determination to create your reality. And when you expand that notion to mean that means I have to create everybody else's reality, you've gone too far. You've come forth to create your reality, which means you've come forth to sift through and determine what you would like to see. Now, what you would like to see might be about your property taxes. It might be about your house payment. It might be about the earth itself. It might be a political notion. In other words, what you want to see is what you want to see. And so your view of the way you would like to see the world is constantly shooting forth from you in rockets of desire, vibrational rockets. And the source energy part of you is then becoming a vibrational match to that. So then the only thing you have to ask yourself is this letter I'm writing, is this website I'm reviewing, is what I'm doing right now making me feel good or bad? Do I feel better or worse in my involvement with it? In other words, we want you to understand that you can't single-handedly save the world, and the world doesn't need to be saved, but it's perfectly all right for you to for life to inspire you to an idea about what would be better life on planet Earth. And when that rocket is born out of you and you turn your undivided attention toward that notion, you come into alignment, and then you get to live that improved life on Earth right here and now. And so you say, oh, I get it. I came forth, I lived the contrast, I saw something that would be better, I lined up with it, and now I'm living it. But then you say, but what about the others who aren't living it, as you split your energy again? And that's what goes wrong. That's what's wrong with the idea that I have to save the world, is that the world, first of all, doesn't want to be saved. Most of them don't want to be saved your way anyway. And when you understand that the only work that you can do, all you have the ability or the right or the capacity to do is to come into alignment with your own evolved, expanded self. And every particle of discord that you ever feel is not because you're not saving the world, it's because you're not keeping up with who you are. You're misinterpreting what those negative emotions are. Those emotions of frustration or, oh, I should be doing something different, are not because you're not saving the world, it's because you're not keeping up to speed with who you have become. And when you start deliberately keeping up to speed with who you have become, those feelings will evaporate because they were never part of the reason that you came forth. And when you are tending to your world, and you are creating your world, and you are demonstrating through the power of your example how to come into alignment with your world, when you are radiating that example and another figures that out and another figures it out, the only world that will ever be the lovely world will be a world where everyone is controlling their own world. And in the moment that somebody else says, no, I see you're not controlling your world in the way that you should, never mind, I'll just control your world, you freak out because you are fiercely independent, you see. Oh, it is so lovely. The only place that freedom ever comes from is in the releasing of resistance. The only thing that ever binds you is your own contradictory energy. And as you understand that, as you embrace that, as you practice that, and as you live that, and then as you teach that through the clarity of your example, you will have the exhilarating experience of having other people's lives improve as a result of their interaction with you. But you cannot ever fixate on what's going wrong with the world and improve it in any way. It never ever works.
And I feel that maybe has been what's stopping me, because I've been wanting to write and publish books. But I thought, well, but it's got to weave in this message about saving the world. And so you're saying to clear out all the resistance about that, just focus on what I most love.
Focus upon things that make you feel good and write books from your place of feeling good.
Okay. Thank you very much.